The news broke like a thunderclap across both sides of the Atlantic. A decision so stark, so unexpected, that it sent ripples through the royal family and into the homes of millions who follow their every move. William and Kate, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, had officially announced that during their upcoming U.S. tour, they would not be meeting Harry and Meghan. The statement was formal, clinical even. We will focus solely on diplomacy and charity. No meetings, no reunions, no public appearances together. Just a wall of distance erected between the senior royals and their once close sibling-in-laws. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Imagine receiving that message. You're thousands of miles away, in a sun-drenched villa in Montecito, California, expecting perhaps a cordial gesture during the royal couple's stateside appearances, and instead, the news lands like a sledgehammer. Shock, confusion, hurt, shame, all at once. This isn't just another media frenzy or a passing tabloid story. This is family. This is the kind of revelation that makes every headline, every Instagram story, and every gossip column pulse with tension. Harry and Meghan's reaction was immediate. According to multiple insider reports, they were blindsided. The shock of being publicly bypassed, of being sidelined while their own family undertook a high-profile tour across the United States, struck hard. For the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who have carefully crafted a post-royal life under intense scrutiny, this felt like a personal rejection broadcasted to the world. The villa in Montecito, usually a sanctuary, suddenly felt like a gilded cage. Even the quietest corners of their home seemed to echo with the absence of their relatives, magnifying every thought of betrayal and confusion. And yet, the public faced a very different image. William and Kate's announcement read like a statement of purpose, almost noble in tone. They emphasized their commitment to charitable work and diplomatic engagements, framing the decision as one rooted in responsibility and protocol. But anyone paying attention could sense the underlying tension, the carefully measured distance, and the subtle declaration of boundaries. It was diplomacy, yes, but also a very public snub. The timing of this announcement couldn't have been more dramatic. The United States, with its endless appetite for royal news, was ready to consume every nuance of the visit. From New York's media outlets to Los Angeles talk shows, journalists dissected every word, every pause, and every subtle gesture that might hint at the deeper story. Public curiosity surged. Why wouldn't William and Kate meet Harry and Meghan? Was this a strategic move, a family feud, or something far more personal? Social media lit up, hashtags trended, and fans on both sides of the Atlantic debated fiercely about loyalty, protocol, and respect. The internet had its verdict. Some praised the Cambridges for focusing on duty. Others empathized with the Sussexes' apparent humiliation. The backdrop for this drama is rich and complicated. It's not just about personalities or sibling rivalry. It's about legacy, public perception, and the delicate balance of the modern monarchy. William and Harry's relationship has long been a subject of fascination and speculation. Once inseparable brothers, their bond has frayed over the years, shaped by pressure, public scrutiny, and personal choices. Kate and Meghan, similarly, have been painted as polarizing figures by the media, each navigating their own challenges and expectations within the royal family. Layer onto this the stakes of a high-profile U.S. tour, and the tension becomes almost cinematic. Let's step into Montecito for a moment. The sun casts long shadows across manicured gardens and modern architecture. Harry paces, phone in hand, as Meghan sits nearby, scanning every news outlet, every social media post, for clues, for context, for some explanation. The villa, usually a place of calm, transforms into a crucible of emotion. They exchange glances filled with unspoken questions. Did we expect too much? Were we naive to think they would reach out? Is this permanent? The weight of uncertainty hangs heavily, pressing down like a storm cloud waiting to break. Meanwhile, back in London, William and Kate prepare for their U.S. appearances with meticulous precision. Every outfit, every handshake, every public smile is choreographed to project stability, elegance, and purpose. Their statement about focusing on diplomacy is carefully timed, calculated to reinforce their image as the steady center of the monarchy, even as media speculation about family rifts simmers in the background. For the Cambridges, the choice is strategic, professional. But for the Sussexes, it feels deeply personal. And therein lies the human drama, the tension that makes this story more than just a royal announcement. Consider the psychological impact of a public snub from family. It's one thing to face criticism from the press, strangers, or even fans, but to be intentionally bypassed by a sibling, made visible only through absence, carries a unique sting. It's a mix of humiliation, frustration, and, perhaps most acutely, confusion. Emotions are raw. Questions about loyalty, recognition, and belonging swirl in the minds of those affected. And in a story that the public can consume in real time, these private moments become magnified, amplified, and scrutinized. But what does this mean for the public narrative? For those who follow royal news obsessively, this is a headline that promises intrigue, drama, and ongoing suspense. The announcement creates a natural curiosity gap. If William and Kate are not meeting Harry and Meghan, what does that say about the current state of the royal family? How deep is the rift? Can it be repaired? Or is this just the beginning of a series of public and private confrontations that will shape perceptions of both couples for years to come? Even within the media, speculation runs rampant. Some outlets frame the decision as a diplomatic necessity, focusing on charitable causes in the U.S., while avoiding potentially awkward family reunions. Others interpret it as a calculated slight, a move designed to assert authority and draw boundaries. Social media commentators weigh in, dissecting every photo from previous engagements, every comment, and every rumored interaction between the brothers. The Sussexes fans mourn the perceived exclusion, while the Cambridges supporters defend the decision as prudent and professional. In this polarized environment, emotions run high, and every statement becomes fodder for debate. The human element cannot be understated. Beyond the optics, the headlines, and the Instagram posts, there are real people grappling with a very real emotional experience. For Harry and Meghan, the decision represents more than just a missed meeting. It's a reflection of fractured relationships, the consequences of choices made years ago, and the challenges of maintaining family connections under the relentless gaze of the public eye. In this context, the story transcends royal protocol. It becomes a deeply personal drama, filled with tension, disappointment, and the fragile hope of reconciliation. And yet, even as shock and disappointment settle in, there is a sense of anticipation. Something is brewing beneath the surface. The Cambridges' decision, while public, is only one piece of a larger puzzle. Private conversations, behind-the-scenes discussions, and strategic decisions are all unfolding in parallel. The story is far from over. Every decision made, every statement released, every social media post contributes to a complex narrative that is still taking shape. For viewers, this creates a powerful incentive to follow the unfolding drama closely. To witness every twist, every reveal, every emotional beat as it happens. So the stage is set. Across oceans and continents, tension simmers. The Sussexes, caught in the glare of public scrutiny, navigate their emotions in Montecito. The Cambridges, poised and deliberate, prepare to step into the United States with calculated purpose. And the world watches, eager for the next revelation, the next twist, the next hint of reconciliation or confrontation. The question on everyone's mind is simple, yet compelling. What happens when royal family dynamics, public perception, and personal emotion collide on such a grand stage? The morning in Montecito began quietly, almost deceptively so. The sun spilled golden light across manicured lawns and sleek modern architecture, a picture of peace and luxury. But inside the Sussex residence, tranquility was a fragile illusion. Harry sat at the kitchen counter, coffee in hand, scrolling through his phone with a look that blended disbelief and simmering frustration. Meghan hovered nearby, her eyes sharp, scanning every breaking news notification, every trending post, every social media alert that might explain what had just happened. Their sanctuary, usually a refuge from the relentless scrutiny of the outside world, now felt like a stage set for a drama they hadn't auditioned for. It began with a simple notification. A news alert. William and Kate would not be meeting them during the upcoming U.S. tour. Focused solely on diplomacy and charity. No personal engagement. No acknowledgement. The message was concise, formal, calculated, and it landed with the emotional force of a hurricane. For anyone else, this might have seemed like a minor detail in a long, busy schedule. For Harry and Meghan, it was a public dismissal, a signal that they had been sidelined at the highest level. Harry leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. "Did you see this?" he asked, though he didn't really need to hear an answer. The expression on Meghan's face said it all: disbelief, hurt, and the faint, simmering anger that often accompanies the sense of being unfairly treated. She gestured toward the laptop on the counter, where the official statement from Kensington Palace was displayed. "They're serious," she said softly. "They really don't want to see us. And it's public." There was a tension in the air that neither could ignore. It was a strange combination of personal and professional. Publicly, the Cambridges were framing the decision as a strategic choice, an emphasis on duty and responsibility. Privately, however, the Sussexes felt the sting of rejection. It wasn't just the denial of a meeting. It was the context, the timing, the fact that this decision had been broadcast for the world to see before any personal conversation could take place. In an instant, a quiet morning had transformed into a high-stakes emotional battlefield. Meghan sat down beside Harry, her posture stiff with controlled emotion. "They could have called," she said. "They could have texted. They could have done something other than make this a headline." Harry nodded, jaw tight. He understood the optics, the reasoning. He could appreciate diplomacy and careful planning. But this felt different. This felt personal. And the message, however carefully worded, was a clear boundary, and one that cut deep. The Sussexes spent the next hour moving between disbelief, frustration, and quiet contemplation. Every notification, every news outlet seemed to reinforce the same message. William and Kate were drawing a line in the sand. Social media was ablaze with speculation. Some commentators praised the Cambridges for focusing on their public duties. Others expressed shock at the apparent coldness. The hashtags ranged from sympathetic to scathing, and the polarizing opinions mirrored the divide between the two sides of the royal family. For Harry and Meghan, however, the public debate was almost irrelevant. The emotional weight of being sidelined by family overshadowed every media headline. There was a sense of being publicly excluded, made visible only through absence. Their world, which they had painstakingly constructed to maintain autonomy and privacy, suddenly felt exposed. Every glance, every movement was now framed in the context of this royal snub. The villa, which had been a place of escape, now seemed to echo with the absence of those they had once considered family. And yet, even as frustration simmered, a sense of anticipation took hold. They knew the public would be watching, waiting for their reaction, analyzing every expression, every comment, every social media post. The stakes were high. This was no ordinary family disagreement. This was a moment that could define perceptions of both couples for months, if not years. Every action, every word, every appearance would now be scrutinized through the lens of this decision. Harry paced the floor, phone pressed to his ear, leaving voicemails that he knew might not be returned. Meghan followed him silently, considering the strategy, the optics, the emotional fallout. It was a delicate balance. Acknowledge the hurt without giving fuel to the media, respond without escalating, maintain dignity while navigating an incredibly public personal slight. Every choice carried consequences. Every step was amplified. But the villa wasn't just filled with tension. It was alive with a kind of nervous energy, a sense that something was about to shift. The air was thick with questions. Why now? Why publicly? Was this a permanent rift or a temporary pause? And what could they do next? Could a private conversation still repair the damage, or had the public nature of the decision made reconciliation impossible? The morning stretched into the afternoon, each moment marked by a mix of quiet reflection and frantic analysis. They reviewed past interactions, considering everything from their last shared family event to subtle messages that might hint at underlying tension. Every memory, every gesture, every overlooked detail now seemed to carry new significance. In a strange way, the villa had become a laboratory for reflection and strategy, a place where private emotions collided with public scrutiny. And then there was the media. While Harry and Meghan were processing their shock, journalists were already connecting the dots, speculating about the history between the brothers, the role of advisors, and the potential implications for the monarchy. Headlines were drafted before the ink had even dried. Social media posts went viral in minutes. Even allies and friends outside the royal bubble weighed in, offering opinions, advice, and sometimes unsolicited criticism. The news cycle moved fast, relentless, and the Sussexes were caught squarely in its glare. Through it all, there was an underlying sense of isolation. This wasn't just about media scrutiny or public perception. It was about family, and family disagreements, no matter how private, carry a weight unlike anything else. The Sussexes were grappling not only with the public implications, but with the personal reality. They had been bypassed, sidelined, publicly ignored. And in a family that thrives on protocol, image, and tradition, that exclusion was a profound statement.